Happy tidings, Boobus Von Tubus. This is a video about, as you could tell by the title, the end of a career. Not my career, not yet anyways, but the career of my son's, actually. He, for the past maybe, 4 years, he has been part of the Original Kids theatre company here in London. Original Kids is a children's theater company that he has attended, and the way he kind of got into it was he actually attended. We signed him up for one of their. They also run. I'm babbling. I can't even make a coherent sentence. But anyways, we signed him up for one of their summer camps 4 or 5 years ago, and they run in 2-week sessions, and the kids they put on a kind of a more basic show at the end of the 2 weeks with kind of minor costumes and stuff like that. They're all very minor, all very low key. And the counselors, if they see kids that they think would be a good fit for the main cast and the main company, they'll send a letter home, asking for an invite if they want to join the company. And for any of you in our area or any other area of the world where theater is an option, if you have a kid who isn't interested in sports or any of the other more mainstream sort of normal things that go on, look for something like a kids theater company, because when he signed up for it and he got into it, he wasn't into sports, he wasn't into stuff, he wasn't really into much. And the theater group really helped him kind of open up and come out of his shell a bit, and kind of gain friends and become more social and that sort of thing, right? And not only that, they put on a hell of a show. If you want to know more about Original Kids, you can go on their website, just Google Original Kids London, and they should come up. But they run shows. They have 2 seasons basically. They have the season that starts in the fall, and then a season that starts basically the spring. So the fall season starts, I think the first show, I can't remember if it's the end of September or the beginning of October, but it kind of runs, it starts that and then runs kind of through Christmas. And then their last show of the fall season is usually somewhere early in the new year. And then the spring season starts up with the very first show being the March break show, and then goes through to the end of kind of the end of the school year sort of thing. Although there is normally a summer production as well included in that spring session. So they're broken into 2 casts: the junior cast, which goes up to grade 8, and then the senior cast, which is high school age kids. And then once you graduate high school, your career is done. James unfortunately has decided to call it quits going into grade 8 this year, and he was kind of done. So he did about 8 shows, 7 main shows, and then his first showcase in TAG, which is called The Actor Grows, where they kind of get a course on acting and stuff like that, a quick crash course, and then they put on a more basic kind of show for that first TAG showcase, and then they get into the main cast and they get into the main shows. Now, the reason for this is well, first of all, before I get into that, let's have a look at the shows that James did participate in. Here is all of the show posters for the productions that he did. I'm sorry for the glare on them. I didn't want to bother taking the time of taking them out of the glass case, but you can see them well enough, and my videos are not top notch, so I don't really care. So here's a look at them all. James's first show was the Actor Grows Showcase, a limited display of their newfound skills. His first real show was Anne of Green Gables, where he played part of the chorus, being one of the generic kids in the classroom, that sort of thing. Game of Tiaras was a hilarious spoof on Game of Thrones, Disney princesses and stuff. He played Dwarf Number 1, and at the end of the show got to shoot Prince Charming with a bow and arrow and hit him right in the nuts one time. The Adventures of Rikki Tikki Tavi is taken from the Jungle Book, and in it he played the illustrious Lord John, an Englishman. This was the Whopper, and in it he played Tommy Dill, or as you know him from the movie, the kid that pees on Santa's lap. Madagascar was a beauty. He played Kowalski the Penguin, and the 4 penguins were one of the huge highlights of this show. They were so funny. On Beat Bugs, the kids show based on all the Beatles music, he played Joe Cockroach, who did a big number at the end. There is actually one more show at the end of that should be on there, but we haven't got the poster for it yet. His last show that he did, which was this past March break show, was Frozen Junior. So he was in the Frozen show, but unfortunately, it was a shit show. Their show was supposed to open kind of the Thursday, Friday, right before March break came, but that was right when COVID started sinking in and things started shutting down and stuff like that. So they got to do one show for they usually do the first show of each run is usually a Friday afternoon or something like that show where schools are invited to buy the tickets, so a couple teachers can bring their classes to watch the show. So they usually do it for younger kids in public school. And so they did that show on the Thursday, I think it was, and not many people were there. And then they were supposed to open up on Saturday after that first show, but like the company decided kind of right at the last minute, we can't do this. We can't have all these people sitting in this theater. So instead it was the kids still went and did the show on stage, and only the parents that helped out with the show were able to come and watch, and so everybody was spaced out and stuff like that. And they actually recorded the show so that it could be distributed to the friends and families of the kids in the show to watch, sort of thing. So they at least got to go on stage and perform the show in the theater like they normally would have. It was just a little bit different of experience than it normally was. Normal runs go for, they usually start on the Friday and end on the Sunday. Sometimes they can start on a Thursday night, but usually it's only over the course of a weekend. So they only usually have between 6 and 8 shows, that sort of thing. And unless you're on one of the longer run shows, March break is always a longer run. It's the whole week. The Christmas show is usually a more elaborate one, and it runs longer. So there are exceptions to the rule, but normally they only go over that weekend sort of thing. So, and the cool thing about Original Kids is that there's a show every week during that season. So after the show closes on Sunday, they got to do a strike. They got to get the theater repainted, turned around, and dressed up for the next show. So it's all on a very brisk, breakneck schedule, and there's a lot of work that goes into it. Now, the reason I'm posting this is under my creative playlist here is because when we started out on these shows, the costumes and the props are all done by parent volunteer committees, sort of thing. So kids who are in the show, their parents get together, whoever wants to participate, and they go over to the off-site location or whatever location, pull costumes, pull props, whatever can't be sourced from that. You either get a budget to purchase them elsewhere. If they can't be purchased, you create a lot of the props, sort of thing. So we started really slow. Anne of Green Gables, we were right into it, but we were rookies, right? So we did a little bit, we helped out, but we didn't really know what we were doing. So we were just taking guidance from the other moms that kind of had done it before, right? And then Game of Tiaras, the second show, we got a little more involved. Rikki Tikki Tavi was a big step forward because it was an animal show and there was lots of face paint involved. So I had to paint Nick's face. He was a wolf before every show, and if I could get Nick done in time, I would maybe start Romeo the tiger or help out somewhere else, and not to mention all the working on props and costumes as well. So that one was a really involved one. It was the one after that, though, that really got me going. It was A Christmas Story, which was a long-run show. It was a mixed cast, so usually it's either a junior cast or a senior cast, but there can be the odd mixed cast show where the juniors are mixed in with the seniors, and Christmas Story was one of those. And it was also done by the company's main artistic director, and his shows are always more elaborate, more involved, more over-the-top sort of thing. So A Christmas Story was the one that kind of put me over the top in terms of parent volunteering. You'll see coming up some of the stuff I've showcased that I've created here. That was kind of my masterpiece of all the shows, came out of A Christmas Story. But I got super involved in that show, and it was exhausting. We didn't even put up our Christmas trees and our Christmas decorations that year because we were always at the theater downtown, at the market and everything. So it was pretty crazy. And then after that, it was Madagascar, which was a March break show, so it was a longer run. Got involved with lots of stuff there, making the seaweed on a stick props, helping out with the steak platter props. There was all sorts of stuff. And then Beat Bugs was after that. And Beat Bugs was a cool show because it was actually one of the kids James has been in a few shows with. Her mom, Sarah, that I worked with on a few of those shows closely together, she actually has a theater background and ended up signing on as one of the directors. So in the show after Madagascar, which we worked on, and Christmas Story was the other one we were in with her, she actually directed the next one, Beat Bugs. So it was cool, kind of like, she was now the boss, right? So I was doing lots of stuff for her, and that's a lot of props came out of that one that I had to create for that one. And then Frozen wasn't quite as involved in terms of props and stuff. I still did a lot of work on it, but not really anything to call my own on that one because there was a lot of people in the mix there. But all in all, it was a really good experience for me personally. And starting especially with The Christmas Story, it kind of got my creative juices flowing again. So as a kid, I loved to draw and build and stuff like that. So as you've seen in a lot of these playlists, all the drawings, paintings, model kits, and all the other stuff I haven't posted yet that I haven't finished. Some of my creations that I created out of nothing, like my Cubert craft and stuff like that. That stuff has all stemmed from my involvement with Original Kids and working on props and costumes. And it kind of inspired me to get back into that creative side of myself because, as a kid, I was really creative, but then you get to high school and school gets serious and you got to worry about university and you also want to chase the girls, you're playing lots of sports, I kind of lost that side of myself. And then when I got out of university, I hooked up with my wife pretty soon on, and then, soon enough you got a house and a kid, and all that's time for that stuff kind of fades away, right? So this was kind of a reawakening for me and got me back into that, which is awesome because I've enjoyed so much kind of being a little more diverse in my pursuits and stuff like that. So right now we're going to go through, have a look at some of the stuff I created. It's not all of it, but it's the main things, and I'll kind of give a description of all the things that are in this next little segment here. So here we go. The most complicated piece I did by far was the prop flagpole for A Christmas Story, the one that Flick got his tongue stuck to. So here it is in its various stages of completion. It was a big, long 2x8 board, a couple different sizes of PVC piping, a hairspray cap, the cap on the end of it, or on a carton of cream, a prop flag that I got from off-site, and this here, and some cotton batting and stuff. And this here was the final product, which I was really pleased with. This last sequence of stuff is all from Beat Bugs. Because Sarah directed it and we'd worked before, she knew she could trust me, what I was capable of. I really did quite a bit for this show. This here is the start of like an oversized toy Jack that needed to look bigger because these characters were just little bugs in this show. So it came together with some of that foam that florists use for their flowers, silver spray paint, beer pong balls, toothpicks, hot glue, all that sort of stuff. And this is kind of the final product. You can see it is sitting on the stool there just to give it a bit of scale. Remember the old tin cans with a rope connected that would act as telephones? We needed to make some of these that the bugs would have created for themselves that the assistants could use. So here's a picture of Jimmer when we were at Sobeys, texting Sarah pictures of different sizes of cans that we could use for this. And then here's the actual assistants with their phones. So it was just the can hollowed out, a green bungee cord with all this dollar store greenery attached to it, and then hooked up to the can. And that too came together very well. The last piece here is also from Beat Bugs. It's a model of a pollution plant that the mean old stink bug in Beat Bugs was planning on creating to wipe out the land of the Beat Bugs. So I used everything kind of that I thought bugs would be able to find, like in trash or whatever, or in nature. So like sticks here, popsicle sticks, thrown out yogurt containers and tin cans and tin foil and stuff to create everything, child's toys that they might have found in the yard, and it all came together pretty well in this rudimentary model of a pollution plant. So there you see just kind of a glimmer of some of the stuff that I've done to help put these shows together. It's a really rewarding experience to do this. It's a lot of work, it's exhausting, but when you finally get to that week before the show, the tech and the dress rehearsal and everybody's gearing up, getting excited, like I said, it really is a rewarding experience to see all these kids get excited and then go out there and put on a fantastic show. And I'm not kidding, like these shows are awesome. And especially when you get into some of the high school age kids and the voices they've got on them when they do the musicals and stuff, like it's crazy. I don't have an iota of a drop of the talent in my pinky finger that they have, right? Like, it's just, I may have got that backwards, but either way, you know what I mean. So it is quite a thing to behold. So sadly, it's over. I'm not sure if we're gonna go and watch any more shows. I think that would be a pretty bittersweet thing to just go and watch the shows and know that I'm not involved anymore. so I don't know if we're gonna do that or not. But because after a while you get to know a lot of the kids when they're in the shows and you're working with them, right? So you end up having to go and watch almost all the shows every season because you know somebody in it, right? And you want to see them, and they want you to come and see them, right? So it's pretty cool little community they have, and it is a really bittersweet that James doesn't want to do it anymore. It is him ultimately that has to put in all that time and effort and be the one that goes out on stage. So, you know, he didn't want to do it anymore. We weren't going to force him, but you know, I will miss everything about it, right? Well, most everything about it. I'm gonna miss, you know, the artistic staff are all great to work with. There's some fantastic people there. All the parents that I've met over the years, there's some really talented people and really fun people to work with. And the cool thing is you know, my wife doesn't pay much attention to me anymore. So, and it's all mostly moms that are involved in this. Like, I'm one of the rare costume prop dads that are or were involved, I guess. So it was just me hanging out with a bunch of women doing crafty stuff, right? So yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. And then, of course, there's the kids that you're going to miss. You get to know the kids over the years and see them kind of grow and get better and stuff like that. And so I'm, of course, going to miss all of them as well. So on the flip side, it's not cheap. So it's not cheap to have your child involved with theater. So that's, you know, if I had to pick out a bright side of this, we're not going to miss the expense of having him enrolled in it. And also that it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time going down to the market 2 or 3 times a week. And on top of that, having to go to the downtown market, it's a real pain in the ass going downtown. You got to pay for parking. A lot of times you're paying for meals there. You're contending with traffic and parking spots when the London Knights have games at the arena just across the road. So there is a lot of hassle and expense and frustration and hard work and exhausted nights that also go into it, not only for him, but for the parents as well. So overall, if I had my wish, he'd still be doing it and we'd still be going on with it. But it's his choice, and if I have to take any silver lining out of it, that is what I'm choosing to take out. So, you know, glass half full, right? So that's kind of the way I gotta have to look at it. So, and this year anyway is going to be a different kind of year because it's all going to be virtual, at least to start. So I know that all the shows, they did some shows over the summer that the kids kind of did, and it was all virtual online sort of thing. So they're not, I don't know if they're going to be getting together to rehearse, and it's not going to be the same sort of environment and stuff like that. So I don't know if that had something to go in to his decision to not do it anymore, but it is going to be a different look for, I don't know, the immediate future, and who knows how far beyond with all the COVID shit, right? So but either way, I just wanted to give a shout out to the end of my boy's career with the theater company and showcase some of the stuff that I built. It was a pleasure being involved with it all and watching him on stage and watching everybody else that put work into the show, have them all come together. And yeah, like I said, if you have a kid that can't really find their jam, I highly recommend looking at a theater option if there is one available to you, and it is well worth the investment and the time, and I'm sure it's not for everybody, but I'm sure if you, like I said, you do have a kid that can't seem to find their niche, this could be the kind of answer that you're looking for. So until next time, have a great September 10th. Oh, it's my birthday today. Yay, happy birthday me. So I totally forgot what day it is, and then that's the thing when you get old and also you've been locked down in COVID forever and you have no idea what day it is. It's just another day. So long.